Hello there. Today, I have yet another rant for you guys. Today's rant is going to be on big rigs, over-the-road racing, a track racing game from 2004 that is very broken and unfinished. This will be a lengthy rant, but I hope you enjoy it because of that. Anyways, let's begin. If this game isn't track racing, guaranteed victory, then I don't know what is. Big Rigs has to be the most fundamentally broken game that I have ever played. First off, the box the game comes in is a complete lie, and not once do the police chase after you. It could have been forgiven if it was just the box art, but number. The description on the back literally states that you'll be hauling loads to stay one step ahead of the law. First off, the menu. The menu looks like an early prototype of a game that is years from completion. It looks very unfinished and very unpolished. Next, the gameplay. You can select from a variety of cars, and there are only 5 or 6 of them. Not to mention, if you have a certain version of the game, one of the tracks known as Nitride doesn't work. In fact, it completely crashes the game when it is selected. Once you're finally in a track, there is another opponent next to you when you start the race, but the opponent doesn't move an inch. Why is that, you may ask? Well, the lazy developers forgot to code in an AI to make the opponent move down the track and just flat out left it out of the final version. UI elements also look awful and look like they were thrown together in 2 weeks or less. At the top of the screen, you have your alt-nav, as well as the lap and time counter. For some reason, the timer cannot fit in the small tiny square, so it just sticks out slightly, and that also goes for your miles per hour/kph on your gauge at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. The track you are driving is a immortal ghost, as it is immune to all damage and can easily phase through buildings and vehicles with ease. Your track is also completely immune to the laws of gravity, and can completely go up steep slopes with relative ease, even 90-degree slopes, which should be practically impossible for any truck to do. Water physics are also non-existent. You can even phase through bridges and fall right through the road. There is also absolutely no invisible barriers to keep you in the play zone. Absolutely none exist at all. And you are completely able to go outside of the play zone into a big gray void of absolutely nothing. The reversing is also another story, because if you reverse, you can eventually find out that the truck continues to accelerate in reverse and can literally break the sound barrier once it goes fast enough, not to mention it can eventually break the speed of light itself. And if your intentions are to just race, well, since the other opponent does not have AI put in place, you cannot lose. In fact, it is basically impossible to lose even if you try your hardest to lose. No matter what you do, it is practically impossible to lose, and you can actually sit around all day messing around with your invincible ghost truck and phase through literally everything in the game. Why does all of this sound unfinished, you may ask? Well, because it is unfinished. It is in such a broken and nearly unplayable state that it should have spent more time on the back burner than having a public release. Releasing a game in this state is a really bad idea. Oh, and if you win the race, if you decide to practically race normally, a hilariously broken trophy with 3 handles appears, accompanied with some English text that reads "You're a winner." In fact, that phrase of text has become a popular internet meme, and has been that way for years. If the game actually featured losing, then there could have been text that read "You're a loser" when you lost the race. But since the AI is practically non-existent, you can't lose. Even in the most recent update to the game a few years ago that adds the AI to the game, the opponent stops short of the finish line and doesn't complete the lap, meaning you're basically winner no matter which version of the game you run. There is absolutely no challenge, and you are always going to be winner. The tracks are also boring and lifeless, and sometimes objects, like a bridge, can be repeated twice in one track, which makes some tracks very confusing as to what the heck is happening. The tracks are so dull and boring and don't have any thought put into them. Like, look at Midnight Club, LA. Amazing track design, and the buildings feel real. Big Rigs doesn't have any of that. Instead, it has boring, lifeless, and sometimes creepy atmosphere compared to other racing games. They feel like an early prototype of a track that is being tested rather than a full, complete track for a fully finished and ready-to-release game. If you're running a certain version of the game, the track Nitride is actually playable and you can actually race on it, but it's just as boring as the rest of the tracks featured on the game. To sum it up, Big Rig's a broken and unfinished game that was created in about a month and then shipped to be publicly released. Nothing in the game was tested and was just rushed straight out of the door with no playtesting or fixing. The devs showed absolutely no care for their magnum opus, and instead just rushed it on out the door, which caused the game to get a bad reputation. Big Rigs is one of, if not the worst racing video game any company has ever made. This game is a definite 1 out of 5 for me. End of rant. Thank you for watching.